Hi all, so we're back here for another jelly printing session, and today I'm using the Sumi Ink. So this will be a lot of fun. It's a different technique, um, but it allows me to get these really beautiful, not only bold strokes, but um, a lot of mark making, and it allows me to do my intuitive scripting. So I do this two different ways. The first way I'm going to show you is I use the glazing. And so here with the glazing, it'll allow us to have a coat of, my brayer is stuck there a little bit, getting started. It'll allow us to have a coat, a very thin glazed coat on the plate that then you can see how the last mark that I made there's still ink on the plate. And so it really does cause it to pop up. I had a little bit too much on there, so I used my second brayer to really thin out that paint because you really want it to be a glaze. That way the ink pops more forward and you get more of a print of the ink and the patterning than you do the paint. So here I'm going to take one of my older brushes. I use my older in the inexpensive ones. These are like a couple dollars for these little Sumi brushes. You can find them everywhere at the art supply stores. You can find them online, Amazon, because some of that paint is still going to be wet on the plate, and I don't really want to gunk up my good brushes with the paint getting on them. So if you have good Sumi brushes, don't use them this way. Use the inexpensive ones. So you can see I got some pretty good marks there. This book that I'm working on here today is going to be sort of like this, it's going to be built up from independent pages. But I'm using this paper here. It's a roll of drawing paper that I get from IKEA, believe it or not. It's in the section where you have a lot of the various supplies, like where they have their frames and everything. It's a roll of drawing paper, and it's like about $10. And it's not the best drawing paper, and it's not the worst. So I use it to roll out on my counters when I'm doing my eco dyeing. And that's where I get all this really great staining and stuff on it. And as opposed to throwing it away, you know me, I'm just going to keep working on it. So then oftentimes I'll lay it out when I'm doing my ink blotting, which is where you're seeing a lot of the blots. You're going to see me pull papers that I haven't printed on yet, but you're going to see ink stains on them. That's just where I'm laying papers out when I'm doing my Rochards and my ink blotting and what have you. I'll use this paper like that. And then after I've gotten a pretty good buildup of staining on them, and sometimes I stain them really, really deep, so I'll use the paper over and over and over again. Sometimes in this case it's a light staining on it, and then I'll come back. And in this case, I want this book to have sort of a monochromatic, coloration to it. So I'm going to mostly be using my glazes in the champagne golds, the lighter glaze colors, along with the Sumi ink, because I want this foundation to be mostly, like I said, monochromatic. I will then be collaging on top of this, and I'll be bringing some of the colors in to collage on top of it. So this is a multi-step process and really building up a lot of richness to the page. So I'm showing you here in today's video how I accomplished that. So I'm not going to start off with just plain paper. I'm going to already have some information on it that I can keep on building from. So you see where I'm going back and forth between glazing the plate or working right on top with the ink. Now, two things are going to happen here during this video. You're going to observe. First, here I'm using a little bit of quinacridone ozo nickel gold, just a little bit, because I want to introduce a little color. So I'm really going to rub this into the plate and kind of get uneven coverage, because I don't want it to be a full on print of this color. I'm just introducing a little bit into my plate, so that as I start working, this color will kind of keep on pushing through a bit. Just a lot of mark making here with the brush. I love working with the brush like this. you're going to see a couple of things. In the glazing, you get these nice crisp lines like you see here. So when I pull the print, it's a crisp, marks on there, pretty much as if I had just taken the brush and brushed right onto the plate, though we get more of a mono printing look. When I take the brush and just go right on the plate without doing the glazing, the Sumi ink will bead up on the plate, and as it beads up on the plate, when I go to make a print with it, you get more of this beaded line kind of print, which I like as well. So I'm going back and forth between these type of mark making. So here I'm pulling more of that print, the second. So this would be the ghost. The first was a full print. Now I'm doing a ghost of it. And you see what I pulled there. So we got some of that color again, and we're picking up the image. So here I'm doing some my intuitive scripting. Some of this is going to be a pretty strong line, and some of it's going to bead up because I don't have a lot of the glazed material down. It's a little bit, but you'll see. See how it's beading up there? And you'll see the difference in, see how the line begins to shrink. So where it stays bold, you can tell there's acrylic glazing there. Where it shrinks into that little bubbled look is where there isn't, and so that's where you get the different lines. And you'll see. So I love this technique. I could just jelly print like this all day because it incorporates everything I love: the Sumi ink, the mono printing, the jelly plate process, the glazing, just it all. Love it. And as I continue to work in this book, you'll see. Well, I'll continue to put the video on and show you. I'm doing this voiceover because generally when I'm in the studio just really working on my projects, it's kind of hard to talk and think about what I'm saying to you all because I kind of get into a zone. So as you know, over here, we're doing on Patreon, we're doing these studio sessions sort of behind the scenes, and then it's just easier for me to do this voiceover and show you guys what I'm doing and talk you through it, because I know you still want to have an idea. What am I doing? What's going on? What am I thinking? What's this process? So I enjoy doing it like this as well. So there we got a ghost of that, the print that we had just pulled. Then by me putting a glaze on it, we got a ghost print. And now we're going to go for our third print. Generally, you can get about 3 prints, 1 full print and 2 ghosts. And you still see I'm still picking up material. Each one's a little less than the first, but it's all good stuff to pick up. And this is where we're getting all this good layering and stuff going on. This is good. We're getting a nice big full circle there, and this is going to bead up a little bit. You'll see where I'm getting get a little bit of beading and a little bit of line, which works well for me. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some glaze in the gold down, and you're going to see how much ink is still on this plate when I go to, it's actually, I think it's going to be a little wet, so I'm going to get kind of a smeared print as well, but you see how much color still popped. So now I'm going to do it on the other side of the page. Now these sheets are long sheets, but then I will be, see how we got a faint print there? I will be splitting these into 3 or 4 pages. Each one of these sheets, I forget how I'm measuring it out. I think it'll be 4 pages because I'm sort of doing like a passport size journal. It's going to be longer than a passport, but it's going to be about that width. Now here I'm taking my larger brush. This is one of my better brushes, but I have no paint on that plate right now because remember I pulled it all off. So now this is going to give us a really good example of the bubbled sort of, print that comes by just laying a lot of ink right on the plate. See that? Oh, I love it. Same thing. Love that print. So now I'm going to put some glazed color on it, and it's still going to be a little wet, so you're going to see where it's going to get a little grungy, but I'm happy with that too, because that just puts a lot of extra, information and texture down. So I'm pulling a clean sheet here. We haven't printed on yet, and we'll lay that down. See, we pulled that. That looks good. Lots of yummy stuff there. So there's still, you see, there's still plenty of ink on that plate. I probably won't be able to pull much with this. I need to put some more color down. I don't think it's gonna. Oh yeah, it did. Wow, so we even got some extra there on top of that quinacridone Ozo Gold. And see, that quinacridone Ozo Gold really blends in nicely with all the tea staining and the coffee staining. That color does well. So if I'm going to introduce a little extra color on my pages, when I've done that tea staining, I just put just a little bit of it on there like I showed you. And I don't put it for every page, but it allows me to kind of keep that sort of color continuity, moving throughout the book pages. So here we got a little bit more of that grunge there, you see. Looks good. Love it. I love that. So I'm showing you guys here that one's complete. I love what I have going there. And like I said, that'll be put into 3 or 4 pages. And I'll be showing you that as well. I'll click on the video when I do that as well. So here we get ready to do some more glazing. And here I think at that time I picked up the white metallic. So I'm using the champagne in the folk art. This is the white metallic in the folk art. And of course I'm using the DIY gold, but I have since found the substitute. Lisa helped me with this, my assistant. She gave me some gifts for my birthday, and some of them were all these different golds. And we found that the Martha Stewart in the champagne gold is a nice light gold that works in place of the DIY shop. So let's replace out that DIY now with that Martha Stewart. That'll work. I think you guys will love that color. And the Martha Stewart paints are still at $2.49 or something for one of those little jars. So it's very affordable. Great print there. So you can see where putting a little bit of color down created the print, and that print now is just a really strong circle. A little bit of beading going on, but it's just a good strong circle there. So here I'm putting a little bit more color down, and I'm going to pull some of this. Now this is just a short sheet that I had left over, but I'm keeping this because I'm going to put some shorter sections into this book. So, I use everything, and I like to have things. See, just picking up those bits and pieces. I like to have different shapes, different lengths, different thicknesses. Now here, I'm taking and just making a mark right onto the plate. And see how it beads up right away. But watch the print. The print is just going to be really good. And that's why I love using the jelly plate, because you get some different effects that you're not going to get just by putting it right on the paper. Just putting the ink right on the page. And overlapping, like I'm getting ready to do, will give a very crisp line, almost like a mask. It is like masking. And so sometimes when I want to get different pieces of things like that on there, and like this, you just kind of put down and use your page as a mask. I really love working with this Sumi. You can tell that I do. Even the way I'm describing it right now, I really enjoy working the Sumi ink on the plate. Okay, so here we pulled some more. And we'll put this will be our third one. We'll put a little bit more of the glazing material down. And so I find I get 3 pulls. I get my original one, and then I get 2 ghosts. And see, that's still popping through. There's still a lot of ink that lays on that plate. And even though that was an uneven edge when I first tore it off the roll to lay it on my counter, I'm keeping that uneven edge, and I'm going to work with it within the book structure. So there we have it. That's a nice glazed print there. You can see that that white, pearl white, is really a pretty glazing material. So I'm tapping my fingers, figuring out what I'm going to do next. So I'm doing the front and back of these sheets as well. So this whole jelly printing process is also me working with the front and the back of all the pages. It wasn't bad. This is about a 30-minute session, and I got all of those pages done. I think I had about 5 full sheets and then that one strip that was a shorter piece. So about a half an hour I was able to get all of this printed up and just get some initial material down. And then I've since broken these down into sections because I'm now doing this voiceover after I've done more work, but those videos will be coming. And then begin collaging. I'll collage on these sheets as well. Oh, I have actually finished this book. A good chunk of it's finished, so I'll be able to show you. You'll see those processes moving forward in some of the future studio sessions. Here again, just a nice big circle. I love that brush. I've had that brush a long time. Just makes it a nice, bold, circle. So here I'm doing some masking. I'm looking at my pages now, figuring out, where I want to put things. I love all those ink blots too, from when I do my Rorschachs and stuff, and I'm blotting stuff up. I use those. I love it. Nice. I like that masking. You see how real. Oh, thumbs up when I do that, because I'm not talking at that point. I want you all to know, like, I really like that. That's good. It's good stuff. So that page is coming along really good. And in fact, I'm indicating that that's pretty much done. So here now I'm deciding to work with just a straight line. This book, I have a lot of circles and lines in it. Just it's kind of the mark making I've been going with. So here I decided to put it down in between those 2 circles, the original circle and one of the ghosts. So now you see I'm showing you how the page is going to pretty much come together. That's how they're pretty much going to look, right? So I'm showing you how, as I'm working on this long piece, I'm still thinking about it as separate sheets. But I like working with the full sheets first because the edges are not as defined as they would be when you just have it already broken down and then you're trying to do each of those little pages. You don't realize, but you really don't. You do still think about the page as having a border where it ends. So when I work on these large sheets, I'm thinking in terms of how I'm going to cut them down, but I still have a lot of overlapping of image, a lot of overplaying. The edge is not as defined as it would be as if I'm working with them already broken down. So I really like working with my pages full and then breaking it down. There you saw where I did the striping, and I really liked the way that worked out. It was the broken dotted line. Here I just did a little bit of mark making, a little bit of intuitive scripting, just to get a different mark um, on here, and I'm just kind of getting the sides of the page, just kind of playing with what's left on the plate. Yeah, pick some up there, and then this is going to be that center section. Love it. So that's some, just that real random scripted kind of mark making. So that's why I like to work on the full sheets. If you're thinking, why am I working on the big pieces and then breaking it down? I just like the way the results are, just more random and more. And I guess it also comes from years of printmaking. A lot of times you work on the very large sheets of paper and then you work them down into smaller books. But you've planned it out more because you know what your grid is, you know what you want in each of those blocks. But even then, when I was working like that, I still like the idea of my prints extending beyond the grid, and what I would get extra on the pages. So I pretty much jelly print the way I learned to monoprint. See the staining? I'm showing you guys the staining and everything, just how beautiful the staining is along with printing like this. Look at all that extra yummy stuff over there. It just looks so good. You can see the difference between the clean line and then the grunged up line. So you can just work this constantly to have clean line or the combination. Of course, I love the combination. So here I'm going to do a bold stroke, and then I'm going to print that right over where I just did that grunge mark, and we're going to get a real strong print over a print that's more, random, and that sort of the old wall thing. And I decided to split the print half, so I'm masking it. So I'm going to get some there, and then I'll get some over top of that print that I did. See? So I get that really strong mark over top of the glazed print, which I really love that. So here, putting some more material down for glazing. Love this. Yeah, see I did it reverse, but the pages work together. So first the strong print went down, and see I'm actually pulling up, showing you guys where I'm pulling up that extra paint in that old wall thing. So the first one, when I did the lines, I put the strong print down, and I used the ghost to make the grungier side, and then I put the strong circle down, and I overlapped it over on the side where the grunge print was the ghost, and then glazed it, and then put sort of the glazed print over the strong print. So you see it ended up having equal weight on the page, but I just kind of flipped the way I did it. Here I'm just breaking a little bit of this stuff up so that the material will move around and come off the plate as I print with it. Now I'm working with this strip here. So I'm pulling up that extra material. Looks good there. Yeah, see, this is looking good. So I'm finishing this strip up by just taking bits and pieces off the plate. Yep, it's looking good. So I'm thinking that this was the last piece I had to do, I believe. I think I've done all the sheets, and I'll show you all what it looks like. So I'm back to the gold here. Just getting a little warmth on this section, because I think this section I mostly used the champagne and the pearl white. So just introducing a little bit more of that warm glazing onto the page. And look, I'm picking up the material. That's what I was trying to do, because I knew the plate was now going to start releasing some of that, and I wanted to get that on there. So this is looking good. You know, normally, in order to get the old paint off, you have to work your plate for a while. So we're 20-something minutes into me working this plate. It's going to now start releasing all that good, yummy material. And when it does, that's when I come back and start grabbing it up, when I notice that it's going to start giving me that extra material. This is looking good. Okay, so let's see. Oh, that's right. I have these envelopes. Forgot about this. Yeah, I'm putting these envelopes in this journal as well. So I'm showing you how I'm printing on the envelope. So these, here again, there's no glazing on the plate. So we're going to get that bold dotted line. And these envelopes have been eco dyed. You know, I'm using the coffee and the tea combination. And then I flattened them by ironing them. And now I'm printing on them because I'm going to be putting these in that book as well. So I want to print these envelopes. I didn't show you all that. Oh, sorry. So you can see that look yummy. Love it. Love doing this. I love looking at me doing it as well. It's crazy. Oh boy. So I'm going to put this on the front. So, gone to get something, obviously. Anyhow, so here we are again. That yummy print. And now I'm getting the back of that first one. Just grabbing some of this. And I'm just getting some of that print to get the extra off the plate there that I was over there. This is looking good. And I'll show you how I'll be using these envelopes, but it's the same way that we're using them in our, so even when you start working on your inside pieces for our spring summer Gelli Junkadori, you can do your envelopes like this as well. You can Gelli print them up this sort of way. You know, so many different ways of doing this, right? So I did a couple of those, and I was putting those in the journal, in this book that I'm creating. And then I'm just sort of showing you how I end up, and there'll be a full video on how I do this, but how I fold these back, and then I slit it open, and I use these for pockets and what have you in the journal. Here I'm getting ready just to do up a few quick pages, because I want to have some of these. These are just some coffee stain pages that are blank, and I want to have some extra because I'm adding these into the same journal. I'm going to put them in as a trifold. So I'm just taking some pages and very quickly just using the ink with no glazing. Look at that. That's just so strong. I'm just putting it right on the plate and doing this process. Here I did a little scripting. You can't really see the scripting, you know, but you see it when you go to print it because it beads up. But, you know, that's what we're going for. See that nice little swishy line? Love it, love it, love it. It doesn't look like there's much down there when you lay it on the plate, but it's amazing what it will pull up. So I'm just getting bits and pieces of these pages. I know if they're going to sort of be like a blank writing or collage space in the journal, but I want some image, you know, some imagery on the page so that it works along with it when I go to do the trifold that I'm doing with this. It's coming along. I think I had about 3 of these sheets, 3 or 4 sheets that I was doing this with. Oh, that's a good print right there. Look at that. Love it. It's pulling a little bit of the paint off too that's underneath the wet Sumi, which looks really good. Really sticks to the plate with that ink, you see. And I'm really pulling it off. You think that Gelli Printing plate is really grabbing that ink nicely in the paper. So I did 3 of those. So now I'm going to show you all what we did in this session. So just getting some of this stuff out the way. So we have some envelopes. And these are the full strips that are going to get broken down. I love these. Oh, this is just so me. And I discovered that I could actually use all my Sumi ink on the plate. I was so thrilled with the results. And I have some other watercolor that I found that really are beautiful and bold that I'll be showing you how I'm working with them coming up. When we get into our spring summer journal, I feel like it'll be really good colors to work with. So I think I'm getting ready to pull the plate back. Yep, because I didn't like that section in the middle there with nothing. I want to kind of bridge that gap. So after looking at all the pages that I've done, I wanted to come back and just get something going in there. So I'm using the gold. I want to, that gold glazing because I really want to warm up that area. Yeah, so get some more of the golder color in there. Because I'm going back and forth between the warm sort of gold glazes and the, the white. See, I've got some extra good stuff in there. So it's just not blank. Okay, so looks like I'm done. Just looking at it all again. And these pages. So we have all this good stuff that's actually going to be put into the book. Alrighty. So there we have it, and these are all the pages that we're going to be using to move forward in the next segment of this book creation. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care. Bye-bye.